This is my habit tracker of January 2026, and each line is something that I said I would commit to, along with being a freelance videographer and also posting 5 YouTube videos this month. I would consider myself a multi-creative, a polyglot generalist, someone who doesn't want to do just one thing and wants to do everything. I try my hand at fitness, Japanese, fashion, beat making, cooking, baking, and more. I love to do it all. But this month was different. I want to show you how things changed and the systems that I've built to make it work. And I'm going to show you how to do it too. Being a freelancer is great because you work for yourself, you have lots of free time, and you can spend that time doing whatever you please. But with all of this free time comes a lack of structure, and also if you have a lot of work, it can be hard to prioritize that over your other things. So these two problems of too much time and a lack of structure can be problems for all of us freelancers. So the pros and cons of being a freelancer are actually both the same. Having too much free time or having free time and a lack of structure. And going too far in each direction can be pretty detrimental to anyone working for themselves. Being unable to meet deadlines or overworking can both affect your mental health and your well-being in different ways. So it's really important that you can find the balance in your life to get your job done and get paid, but also find the time for yourself and any other interests you may have. And the first thing you need to start this journey is to build good systems. Before I start talking about systems, I want to preface that these can be different for everybody. You want to build a system that caters to you and the way that you like to work, because what works for someone else may not work for you. The concept of systems is a core concept from the book Atomic Habits, and it is kind of acting as a replacement for goal setting. The book goes far more into detail about systems and how it can replace goal setting, so I would highly recommend that you read the book if you get the chance. So systems help you keep track, build consistency, and keep yourself accountable for what you're trying to achieve. But I'll talk a bit more about consistency and accountability later in the video. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about the systems that I use because I think it's useful to see other people's systems and then you can take parts from that and you can build your own from there. So there's two types of systems. One, a physical system, or two, a digital system. So let's start with the physical system. So I use a dotted notebook, which is this one right here, from Moleskine, I think. A dotted notebook adds a little bit more structure than just plain paper, but isn't as much as having a gridded piece of paper. And you can also write between the dots, so it's kind of acting like lined paper as well. And I think it's just the perfect balance. So I use this for a lot of things, and it's kind of just a blank canvas to do whatever I want. So that can be jotting down ideas, clearing my head, creating mind map, to-do lists and priorities, taking notes, tracking sleep, habit tracking like I showed you at the start of the video. It's a piece of paper, like you know what to do with a piece of paper. You can do anything with whatever notebook you have. Alternatives to a notebook, if you want a bit more structure and rigidity, would be an agenda or a time blocker or a calendar. So let's talk about the second system, digital systems. I currently have two digital systems that I use. I use an app called TickTick, and I also use another app, just Google Keep, which I think a lot of people don't really know about. Kind of makes your notes into like a Pinterest board. But to be honest, I'm currently thinking about switching from Google Keep to maybe something a little bit more structured and complex. And TickTick is what I use the most. It's pretty in-depth, but it's very easy to use. It has a calendar and a time block, and then it also has a habit tracker and also a to-do list. If you're interested in learning about this or what systems I use a little bit more in detail, I can make another video on this, so just leave a comment. Okay, so I want to give some alternatives to TickTick, and I would say these would be Notion, Todoist, ClickUp, and maybe Things3. There's not really a clear alternative to Google Keep, but I would say anything like Notion or Obsidian or Evernote. Those sort of note-taking apps would be pretty good alternatives. I also really want to mention that this isn't going to be included in the system I use for this video, but I also heavily use an app called Milanote for video ideas and brainstorming. So if you're a creative person and you don't know about Milanote, or an alternative to that would be Miro. These are great like infinite canvases to build mind maps and throw in photo references for shot lists and storyboarding and far more complicated, more visual note taking. So I'd highly recommend those if you're interested and looking for something like that. So when it comes to these systems, you can pick whichever one suits you best. If you're more of a person who needs to write stuff down, or if you're someone who's much better using something digital, like a lot of people are using iPads or people use computers instead of writing things down. So me and my girlfriend are very, very different in this aspect. And I'm much more of a digital person, and she's very much not a digital person and loves to write things down. She has like 5 journals. So I think having a dual system where you use a physical notebook, because writing things down puts it to memory and gives you a higher chance of actually doing it. I think a digital one can be very, very useful for the convenience aspect. Basically, with this system, the digital is going to make up for where the physical lacks, and the physical will make up for where the digital lacks. That's the best way to do it. I would definitely recommend trying out different systems and finding what's best for you, because most likely you're not going to get it right the first time. So with this tracker that I use, that's in the back of my book, I have my memorable moments here, and then I have my habits here, and then I track my sleep here. Sorry, I'm just looking at the camera. Actually, I do record them on here, but I generally record them to my digital habit tracker on TikTok, and then I later put it into there because I think it works better. It's much more convenient for me to tap and just check it off on my phone than coming to find my journal and then trying to fill it in every day. So the next thing I want to talk about is consistency and trying to do things every day. So a good rule of thumb that I would use, if you miss one day, just make sure you don't miss two, because one day's a mistake and 2 days is a habit. So when I was talking to my girlfriend about the concept of this video, and I was talking about ways to build consistency in your habits, she talked about another concept from Atomic Habits that I hadn't thought about and had forgotten, frankly. And that was the idea of setting 2 time blocks per day for the habit. So if you're someone who likes to time block things, then this could be pretty useful. Basically, how it works is you set a time block at some point in the day earlier, and then you set another one later in the day. So if you miss the first one, you can do it in that second time slot. So this basically acts as a backup and allows you to have another time which is open and free to do this task if something else comes up, because life keeps moving. I think there's realistically 4 methods of tracking. You've got to-do lists, time blocking, and habit tracking. And the 4th one is what I'm going to call accountability tracking. As I think the other 3 are fairly explanatory, I will briefly talk about them, but then I'll talk more about accountability tracking, as this is kind of a concept that I do and I have not really seen many other people do. So to-do list is start of your day, write down the tasks that you need to get done and tick them off through the day. Time blocking. This is when you break down your day into blocks, and you'd usually set these blocks at the start of the day, and then you'd follow them throughout the day. And the 3rd one's habit tracking. This is when you write down all of your habits and you track them on a weekly or monthly basis, or even just daily, and you write them down every day. You tick them off or line or scratch them off whenever you're finished. Okay, so what is accountability tracking and this method that I'm talking about? So my accountability tracker, or maybe you could even call it just logging your day, is as the day goes on, I just fill it in, and I basically create time blocks for what work or what habit or what life task I am doing in that time of my day. And I use this to be accountable and to reflect on what I've done throughout the month, and I can check every single day to see where I did a habit, or when I rested, or when my downtime is, like when I felt a bit more lazy. And this has really helped me to learn more about myself and what I want to do at certain times of the day and when I feel more productive. And it's also crazy to look back at your calendar and just to see every single day just full to every minute of what you did in that day. Kind of interesting. So when it comes to consistency, I think the core thing with this is to start small and build from there. And everyone says this, but it's true. You should probably start with just 1 or 2 and then keep consistent at that, and then you can gradually add more over time. You're inevitably going to feel unmotivated at some point, so to stop yourself from not doing something, just think, how could you make it simpler, make it a little bit easier for yourself this day, An example would be if you want to go work out. I often don't want to do a leg day. I will go to the gym, I'm not feeling like it. So I'd usually do a intense but short leg day. And that will basically consist of a squat movement, an RDL, and then a leg extension and a leg curl. And this, if you know enough about fitness, you'll realize that if you do this with enough intensity, that is plenty for your legs. And so I'm doing a shorter leg day, but it's actually become very good, and I often find myself just doing it more often than not. It feels less daunting when I want to go and do a leg day. So that's my other tip. Make things easier. They don't have to be this hard thing and feel scary to do. Just get something done for the day, and it's better to get it done, and then you can make it better the next day or put more time in the next day than not doing it at all. I think it's very important to set realistic and achievable goals when you start out. So I would start by finding the things that you actually find most important and you want to work on the most. And this is basically like a priorities list. So set priorities on the tasks that you're most interested in or think will be most beneficial for your work or your personal life or a skill that you've always wanted to learn. This will stop you from adding kind of unnecessary habits to your list. So getting your priorities in check is really important if you're trying to do a lot of interests and you're multi-creative like me, but I'll talk a bit more about this later in the video. Keeping yourself accountable is very, very crucial. This is vital for all of us, and I think the second biggest reason why people fail after being inconsistent. Let me elaborate on this a little bit more. So accountability will help you bounce back quicker if you mess up by reflecting on your actions. You can do this by knowing what's going wrong before it happens or seeing that something's going wrong and trying to fix it. This can be done by a daily evaluation in the form of a journal or a reflection, or you can do this in your head like I do because I'm very self-critical and I'm constantly thinking about how I can improve basically every second of every day. But with that being said, I still think it's important to reflect after a set time period. That could be per month or per week. In fact, today is the 31st of January, the day I'm recording this. So I'm actually going to be doing a self-reflection today, probably in the evening because I need to get this video edited and out. So how can you reflect on what you've done in the month? For me, I can go through my journal or my notebook and look at the tasks that I'd set out. Or for me, I can go through my calendar and look at everything I did for every day and kind of figuring out where it worked. So you can do this with prompt questions, which is a great way to do it. Just search up reflection prompt questions or monthly reflection prompt questions online, and you can find something that will help you do this. For me, I kind of just do it off the top of my head. I kind of know where I'm feeling, and you should kind of have a bit of an understanding of where you're failing or what you're not prioritizing in the month. Like I've noticed that I've started to shift back to prioritizing my content less, and considering that this is the most important thing for me this year, that's not going to be very good. I was doing good for a little bit, but I'm started to veer off into not recording things as much. So basically what you're doing is you're breaking your month down into what you did good and what you want to keep doing, and what you did bad, where you can improve, and what you need to fix for the next month. I think doing this monthly allows you to see bigger patterns and sort of times where you start to veer off, instead of doing it weekly where the patterns are probably smaller and hard to recognize. But looking back and holding yourself accountable allows you to see the errors of your ways. Okay, so let's talk about discipline versus motivation. There are going to be times when you're not motivated enough to do everything, but you still need to get them done. And that's fine. Contrary to popular belief, it is fine to feel unmotivated. We all feel unmotivated sometimes. It is okay to feel that way. But building discipline in those times when you feel unmotivated is going to be crucial in helping you achieve those goals. So what is discipline? This is doing the thing that keeps you moving in the absence of motivation. There's a saying that goes, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. So how do you get disciplined? This will not just happen overnight. You just need to make the decisions over and over again, and it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. During this month, I came to the conclusion that I don't necessarily care about doing it every day at all costs. That wasn't what was important to me. What was important to me was to build the consistency over time. This meant that if I missed a task or a habit on that day, it wasn't a big sweat. I would try and do it again the next day, but I wouldn't beat myself up about it. So many times in the past, I've tried to do everything every day, and it just causes me to burn out pretty quickly. So consistency over time was better for me than forcing myself to do everything every day. And maybe this would be beneficial for you too, as long as you can still keep yourself on track. Your mental health and your motivation and your discipline is more important than trying to do something every day. And I think too many people put emphasis on having to do it every day, whereas realistically, it's just you showing up over time that's more important. So I want to dedicate this part of the video to generalists and the people who have multiple interests and want to do many things at the same time and try and learn how to balance them all at once. First off, you need to get the core foundation down first. That's the things that I've been talking about throughout the rest of the video. Your systems, your consistency, your accountability, and your motivation and discipline. This will be the foundation for everything else, and you can build from there. Even though this is the first month that I've been super consistent, I think I'd built a pretty strong foundation from all the failures that I'd made in the past. And this time around, I was able to maintain it pretty well because of my past failures. So I haven't really talked about what I actually have been doing this month. And I think for people who are thinking, oh, you've only done this for a month, that's not very long. Well, the idea is the fact I've managed to do so many things over this past month. So I have my job as a freelancer. I am currently studying Japanese. I baked about 6 times this month. I cook every day my own food. I've read 2 books. I've saved a memorable moment every day. I've recalled a story. I've also gone to the gym about 14 times this month. So that's a lot of different things that I've managed to juggle. It's a lot of stuff, and you can do it all at once, and you can do it all pretty well. You don't have to be limited to just a couple tasks, but you do need to get the foundation straight. So now that you have the foundation, you can start adding stuff one by one. I would recommend doing it one by one, but if you're like me, you're probably someone who's going to want to do it all at once. And yes, it's possible. I think I've proven that it's possible this month, and that's why I'm trying to share this with you guys. So this is where I would take that not being too hard on yourself approach. I think if you try and do 8 things every day and you can't do them, and then you start beating yourself up about it, and then it just causes you to fail and you stop, and then you don't make progress on any of it. By being lenient, being flexible, allowing yourself to fail, that I couldn't fit it into this day, it's more important to make sure you're getting good sleep and you're staying active and you've just got your mental health in check than getting that hobby or task done every day. Spending a lot of time on internal reflection or external reflection, you can write it down, whatever, will allow you to notice when you're starting to fall off or if you're going to fail something. And I spoke about this before, but the internal reflection and the focusing on reflection will be really, really important if you're trying to juggle multiple hobbies and you're trying to achieve goals in both of them or many of them. So I actually noticed this between me and my girlfriend later on, like 10 days ago. And we both said, oh, we're feeling like we're both drifting off and we need to kind of regroup and reevaluate where we are in terms of our goals. So we did this, and these past 10 days have been really, really good. And we kind of got ourselves back on track. So we stopped ourselves in our track before we failed and we were able to fix it, which is really, really useful. Okay, if you're doing lots of different hobbies, trying to stack habits is super important. So you can do many different things at once, and you can do 2, 3, 4 habits all at the same time. Let me give you an example. I have a habit to film more often, to go to the gym, to listen to an audiobook or read a book. I was able to do all 3 of these things at the same time because I was at the gym, listening to my audiobook while my girlfriend filmed a clip for using in a YouTube video. And so I was able to tick off 3 of those habits just there and then. The 4th thing I want to talk about is being pretty lenient with your habits and not being too strict on what exactly you need to do with that habit each day. I think sometimes it is important to have a very strict rule on what you need to do for that habit, but sometimes you just need to get it done and make some progress. For Japanese, I have a very strict habit of doing my flashcards every day. That's fine, that's set and it's strict. But something like going to the gym, you don't want to have like, oh, I have to go on leg day on this day of the week, when you could just move it to the next day, or it doesn't have to be like that and it's flexible. Another example would be it's useful that I can, if I'm in the car driving, I can listen to my audiobook, or if I'm about to go to bed, I can read my book before bed, and that does the same thing. Finally, enjoy the process. These shouldn't be a chore. These are things that you've picked to do and decided that you want to do. They are habits that you're interested in, that you've wanted to start forever, or haven't got round to in the past. So if you're doing them, they should be with reason, for a purpose. And if they're not, then you probably shouldn't be doing them. So enjoy the process and good luck with getting where you want to be with it. If you no longer care about a hobby, but you'd set it to do every day of the month, and you realize 5 days in that it wasn't actually something you care about that much, then maybe just stop doing it. This is a great use of the reflection again, and you can reflect on these things when you do that. And if there's something from the first month that you don't think was useful, then maybe stop doing it in the second month. This is gonna be a long video, but just before we end, I want to talk a little bit about your mentality and the potential risk of failure, especially for us multi-creatives and people trying to do many, many things. I'm gonna read this off of my iPad because I think for this, I don't really want to mess it up. So I'm kind of just gonna look at this and read it out, so sorry about that. But mentality, I think you need to keep an open mind, like be flexible. Things are not set in stone. Life is changing and you can like change with the way your life works. So just be flexible with that. Be analytical about where you are and where you want to go, and be realistic about it. Like you want to constantly keep analyzing where you are, where you want to go, and what I'm doing actually going to be beneficial to the direction I want to take my life. Managing your emotions is another big one. And I think this is going to be really, really important because at the end of the day, you don't want to get overwhelmed. You don't want to get burnt out. Like, don't force yourself to do something if it's going to put you in a worse spot. You're trying to make your life better, not worse. Make sure you get adequate amounts of sleep, personal time, and you're eating properly. Again, this kind of goes into your wellness and your well-being and your emotions and all of that, but making sure you're eating, sleeping, and getting your own space and time other than your habits and stuff is going to be really helpful because, again, it's just stopping you getting overwhelmed or burnt out. But remember with this that you can do your habit as part of your personal time. Like, if that's what you want to do in that time, then do it. But setting out personal time to do what you want to do every day is really, really helpful. Failure, plain and simple. I'm gonna keep it real with you. You might fail the first time around, you might fail the second time around, you might fail the third time around. It's easy to fail, but you're gonna learn from what you fail, or you're gonna learn from when you fail. So don't worry too much, just try and start again as quick as you can. And also, failure isn't really as big. It's something that we've set in our head to do every day. If you fail, then you can just start again the next day. Don't let the mental battle between yourself of, oh, I failed, oh, I failed, oh, I failed, be a hindrance on you succeeding, because it's something you've placed on yourself. It's not like you've actually failed a test for an exam at school. This is a self-inflicted hobby or habit that you're trying to build. If you fail, it's not a big deal. Just start again. Just start again, because you're still building the consistency. If you missed it yesterday, you're only making a minor jump in the amount you've increased your skill level. So if you miss one day, start the next day, and start the next day, and the next day. And that consistency is what's going to build those benefits and those goals and help you get to the level you want to be, not those slight failures and slight setbacks. Also, no one really cares about you doing your habits. This is all on you. It's a battle with yourself. So just know that no one's bothering you. Like, you need to focus on yourself. You need to make time for it. You need to work on it. You need to push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. I have a little analogy that I have written down. which I think could kind of help you understand about consistency and building up on the habit. You are like a snowball. When you roll a snowball, it keeps gaining more snow and more size. Your goal is to keep rolling and rolling and rolling for as long as you can. When you fail, it's as if the snowball stops and you start to melt. But if the snowball keeps rolling, it's going to keep building size, getting bigger and bigger. Just keep going and you will get there. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I think this video is going to be pretty long. So if you've stuck to the end, I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that you can achieve your goals and you can build that consistency, accountability, and you've built a great system around your life that you can keep using into the future. I wish you the best on trying to achieve all of your goals. I'm going to keep trying to achieve it too, and I'll be right there with you. Good luck, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll reply to all the messages. Thank you, and peace.